Agenda item 4.
All right, agenda item 4, we'll start the series of baseball findings, steps, and approvals of documents that we've been building to in these number of months. And Mr. Chair, we've discussed the 4 actions required for the board to approve the remaining stadium documents, and those 4 actions are not the 4 remaining actions, but the 4 total actions. This board had to have found that Major League Baseball authorized the relocation of the team, that the team committed to relocate, that the board selected a baseball stadium events company. And the first 2 things, those relocation actions, took place in May. The third thing, the Stadco selection, took place in July and left us with the 4th thing. And the 4th thing is the selection of a developer partner who meets the criteria of Section 2 of Senate Bill 1. In turn, there are 4 findings the board must make related to the developer partner, and the first 2 are generally about who that entity is, and certain legal criteria of their formation, and we also made those 2 findings in July. The 3rd and 4th findings necessarily took longer because they required further development in the construction relationship and the financing development from the team, and we bring those to you today. The 3rd finding, and the subject of this agenda item, is that the developer partner has demonstrated to the satisfaction of the board that they are able to successfully develop and construct the Major League Baseball stadium project. To provide support for this finding, the backup to agenda item 3 contains the draft development agreement that will ask the board to approve in agenda item 9, which details the framework of financing and development for the stadium. Also attached to this are Stadco's agreement with Mortensen McCarthy joint venture to build the stadium, and Stadco's accounting of the compilation of their project team and their development efforts to date. Mr. Dean will make a presentation to help the board further understand the support for this finding.
Come on up, Mr. Dean. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Pleased to be here. Thanks for the chance to speak. I want to just start by expressing our gratitude and thanks for all the effort by so many parties that allows us to be here today. Thanks to the authority board and the staff. With this being our 8th meeting and almost 250 pages of documents plus exhibits, we know thousands of hours have been diligently expended to produce documents that will protect the public for the investment that's being made. I also want to express thanks for the Clark County commissioners and the Clark County staff who've been substantively engaged with us along the way, and our partners, Bally's and GLPI, who are dedicating 9 acres of prime Las Vegas strip real estate in support of the project. And also just to thank Governor Lombardo and Speaker Yeager and Senate Majority Leader Cannizzaro and the Nevada legislature for believing that baseball could come to Nevada and Las Vegas and working to pass a bill that would support the ballpark and also protect the public investment. With that, as for the first finding to be made today, we've shared a design build contract from Mortensen McCarthy. And we have to say it was a big plus for us to be able to form a partnership with them, given the success of Allegiant Stadium. We've also shared that we've expended about $40 million to date on our Las Vegas Ballpark effort. And we've assembled a team of more than 30 distinct firms that are working with us to design, document, redesign, improve, and ultimately build this ballpark on the Las Vegas Strip. We think it's noteworthy that beyond Mortensen McCarthy, a number of the firms that we've shared were also involved with Allegiant, and so we think we have a very strong team here. I've found myself saying in the last many months that it feels like we have an army working on the project, and when we list all the firms that have engaged, I think it's easy to see why that seems so. We have here today 3 folks. One was trying to find parking. Lance and Nichols from HNTB, Tyler Van Eckhout from Mortensen McCarthy, and Todd Bishop, who is always on time but may be coming soon. These are a few representatives of the many, many professionals that are working on this kind of round the clock. we've had a year of meetings working on the design and redesign and iteration and adding features to the ballpark and so on. In the second finding, I thought we would address the increase in budget and some of the features that are behind that and so on. But happy to answer any questions about our investment or the progress we've made or the team we've assembled, if there are any.
Thank you, Sandy. Any questions for Mr. Dean? Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve agenda item 4, which is the baseball stadium developer partner has, in accordance with Senate Bill 1, demonstrated to the satisfaction of the board that the developer partner is able to successfully develop and construct the Major League Baseball stadium project.
Move to approve exactly what Steve just said.
You are seconded. Yeah. I have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Lawrence Epstein, yes.
Great. Thank you. Agenda item 5.
Mr. Chair, agenda item 5 asks the board to find that the proposed baseball stadium developer partner, Athletic Stadco LLC, has, in accordance with Section 22C4 of Senate Bill 1 of the 35th Special Session of the Nevada Legislature, provided to the board adequate financial security for the performance of the financial obligations of a developer partner for the development and construction of the Major League Baseball stadium project. In support of this finding, the backup for this agenda item contains documents from the parties detailing how the non-public portion of the baseball stadium cost will be provided in the current total estimated budget. In a moment, Mr. Dean will make a presentation explaining these documents and the framework for the financing. Before he does, I will remind you that this finding is a finding of financial capability. The law and the development agreement require that before any public money is spent on construction, capability has to convert to execution, and the developer partner must have committed financing in the form of any of the following: either an irrevocable deposit of cash that cannot be used for any purpose other than the payment of project cost, or closed construction debt financing, or irrevocable letters of credit or commitments to pay construction cost provided by a bank with at least $1 billion in assets. Mr. Dean?
As Mr. Dean is coming to mic, I will reiterate something and add something. The point that Mr. Finger made is the next step prior to the county issuing bonds, and we've talked about this, and I think everybody knows it, is that the A's are going to be required to irrevocably post cash, a letter of credit, or construction financing in the hands of a third party that cannot be withdrawn. The other thing I'll say, and I think I'm probably beating Mr. Dean to the punch here, is it's very clear in the law that there is a cap on the amount of public investment that can be made of $380 million in this project, and that any overages in the cost of the stadium are the responsibility of the A's, which they are taking. The way that process works, because this may not be the last time, we hope for you that it is, but may not be the last time that the costs rise. And if they do, along the way, before any additional public money, and I don't mean additional in terms of over the 380, because that is not possible. I'm saying that as we, as the public, pays its proportionate share, that process stops if there is an overage in the estimated final cost of the project until the A's irrevocably deposit additional cash or additional financing to pay for those overages. So it's important to understand where we are in this process right now. And Mr. Finger explained that. As we talked about in the last meeting, Mr. Finger and I have both had the opportunity to review some detail of the Fishers family finances. And it is clear that the Fishers have the ability to move forward with this project. I know Treasurer Conine has had that same opportunity and has taken advantage of that. And more importantly, we have a financial professional that is backing this and their statement that that is the case. There is no question that that is the case. Staff has briefed the board to that effect, and with that, Mr. Dean, I will turn this over to you. Maybe I stole all your thunder, sorry.
No, actually, I appreciate that. I'll just add on to what you said. Hey, we fully embraced the protections that were built into the development agreement. It does take, a little bit of wherewithal to make it through the agreement for people who are interested, but it has a belt and suspenders approach to want to make sure that the public is protected, and we embrace that and still do. I would like to do this in two parts. I'm going to just make a few comments about the financing consistent kind of with what we did on October 31st. And then I'm going to ask Steve Vogel from US Bank to come and speak for a few minutes. And then when he's done, I'll talk a little more about the increase in the budget and so on, if that's okay with folks. Consistent with the discussion we had with the board on October 31st, we've presented 4 letters to address the financing. The first one was a construction term loan commitment letter from US Bank and Goldman Sachs, 2 institutions that we've worked with for some time. That construction loan term commitment is subject to customary conditions. We've also provided a second letter, which is an equity investment letter from the John Fisher and members of his family, describing their commitment of $1.1 billion and subject to the same customary conditions. We have a third letter from Athletics Stadco LLC that lays out principally the conditions that come with both the construction term loan and the equity commitment. And I would just note that many of those conditions relate to kind of the completion of definitive documentation for financing that will really start being utilized in earnest in the second quarter sometime. And then the fourth letter is from US Bank, indicating their review of some of the financial holdings of the Fisher family. And with that, I think I'd like to have Steve come up and just say a few words about that, and then I'll come back.
Please, welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. Good afternoon. And thank you for the opportunity to address the board on behalf of the Athletics. My name is
If
Steve
I could
Vogel.
just ask you to identify yourself, even though Sandy did.
Absolutely. It's Steve Vogel from US Bank.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm a Senior Vice President and Managing Director at US Bank, and I lead the firm's professional sports banking practice. I've been with US Bank since 2012, and I've been a sports industry banker exclusively since 2005. US Bank has worked with the A's senior management team as their lead bank since 2020, and we've been providing capital raising and corporate banking services to the US sports industry for over 20 years. We work with many sports franchises across the 5 major US professional sports leagues, and we've arranged debt capital for many of the largest sports venue construction projects in the US over the past decade. For those unfamiliar with US Bank, it is the 5th largest commercial bank in the United States with over $680 billion of total assets as of September 30th, 2024. We've been in business for over 160 years. We have a large presence in the Nevada community, which has contributed to our desire to support this transformative project. Currently, we have about 800 employees and 49 branches in the state of Nevada, including 29 within Clark County. With respect to the construction financing arranged on behalf of the A's and their ownership, US Bank and one other financial services firm, Goldman Sachs, have committed to provide the A's with a $300 million construction loan. The conditions precedent to closing and funding the stadium construction loan are customary for the banking industry and are outlined in detail in the A's letter to the authority on this topic. In conjunction with our due diligence for the stadium construction loan, US Bank reviewed a portion of the financial holdings of the Fisher family and related entities as of June 30th, 2024. Our review included brokerage statements, SEC filings, independent third-party appraisals, and for certain related entities, GAAP audited financial statements. Based on this review, we concluded that the Fisher family and their related entities have financial assets more than sufficient to fund the equity portion of the proposed capital structure for the new stadium. We look forward to working with members of the Stadium Authority, Major League Baseball, and the athletics leadership team to complete the various steps necessary to see the company begin the construction process on the stadium in the coming months. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Vogel? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Steve and your team, thanks for being here, and thanks for that. As it came out on Sunday night, the cost of the project is expected to be higher. This is something we've expected for a little while. We've known for a little while that it could be materially above the initial budget of 1.5 billion. And we wanted to go through one more round of estimating and refinement before putting out another number publicly. So now that's out $1.75 billion. And it's worth stating that the cost increases here are a function of both general pressure on the cost of construction that's being experienced around the country, along with us adding a number of enhancements and features to the ballpark. The increases in the cost of construction, those aren't the most satisfying, but the fun part of the conversation is what's been added. And for that, 70,000 square feet of additional programming inside the building. And that's just a whole bunch of things. It's fan amenity spaces, including additional club spaces and additional suites, and some unique general admission experiences to provide, we hope, an exceptional experience across all the price points for the ballpark. The lower bowl has been turned into a split lower bowl, which is a way of bringing more seats closer to the field, but takes some additional square footage. We've added operational spaces, particularly including additions to player amenities that are intended to be amongst the best in the league. And we've also added spaces for public and private events beyond just baseball games. Las Vegas has a robust market for private event spaces, public event spaces. We would like to serve that if we can. We intend to utilize under-seat cooling, which will be a first in an MLB ballpark for maximum fan comfort. That, in addition to the design that maximizes natural light, but also protects fans from the direct sun with the north-facing orientation. We've added audio-visual investment. That's mostly video boards and ribbon boards. Acoustic improvements in support of this being a premier concert venue. And we'll have more detail to share on the design in 2025. I think we'll come back and have a presentation about that and so on. But maybe just to close with two fun tidbits about the design, which is it's going to be an intimate ballpark. And that means it's just the seats are going to be close. And two ways we can share that is we believe the seats will be the closest to home plate of any ballpark in the country, measured from kind of the backstop to home plate. And the ballpark will have the second least amount of foul territory of any ballpark in the country. So the seats are going to feel close. Consistent with SB1, all the cost increases are the responsibility of the A's. That's been well understood from the beginning. We have a lot of work to do, and also we appreciate being here today with all the work that has been done, and look forward to continuing to move forward. Thank you. I'd happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Any questions for Sandy? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Sandy. Entertain a motion to approve agenda item 5, which is that the A's have provided the board adequate financial security for the performance of the financial obligations of a developer partner for the development and construction of a Major League Baseball stadium project.
Jan Jones Parkhurst, I would make that motion to approve.
Tommy White, second.
Motion and second. Please cast your votes.
Lawrence Epstein, yes.
And that motion passes. Agenda item 6.
Mr. Chair, the board has now made all required findings to select Athletics Stadco LLC as the development partner for the Major League Baseball Stadium project. Agenda item 6 is an action item, and staff recommends approval.
Is there any questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve the A's as the development partner, Athletics Stadco LLC as the development partner for the Major League Baseball Stadium project.
Jones Parkhurst, motion moved to approve.
Tommy White, second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Lawrence Epstein, yes.
And that passes. Before we move on to